Hi everyone, it's Roger and Jeremy here from What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Wreck-It Ralph and sharing our thoughts on this classic movie. It's kind of funny for me. I literally just watched it this morning, so I am very much reminded of it. And I just can't say I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite Disney movies, probably for decades. And I think it appeals to me much more as an adult because of I'm a massive video game fan. I've been video game fan for, since I was as far back as I can possibly remember. And I grew up on these 80s games, Pac-Man, Tapper. I remember playing them at the arcade. I remember going to arcade every single week, multiple times a week, playing, Street Fighter 2, X-Men, playing The Simpsons, playing, Mortal Kombat, the first one. So I think for me, I have that whole nostalgia thing for this movie of what it represents because I grew up doing that. And, and then getting the racing cars like Sugar Rush coming in and being a little bit older. I remember that being Daytona Racing, and it cost like 50 pence to do it rather than X-Men was like 10 pence. So I didn't play that game very much. And and then obviously then we get the whole space bug thing, and I enjoy a good shooting game, Battlefront, Call of Duty, things like that. So I when that whole scene starts, I instantly know what it is. I know, I get all the little references, I get all the little Easter eggs. I spot the characters, Sonic and Mario obviously being there, but I get all the little jokes, and it's probably why for this movie I love it so much, because I'm completely in on it. I get all the references, and is why I was so disappointed with Ralph Breaks the Internet, which we did recently as an episode, was because it didn't have any of this. This is what I loved about the first movie, and the second movie didn't have it. But I just really just love the movie. The characters are great. The humor between Vanellope and Wreck-It Ralph, that whole thing. The villain, I like the fact that Turbo, I like that whole aspect of what they've done and the world that they created. I like the music, even just the way that they do the music in this. Just really is a step up. While I enjoyed the music from the second one, the first one feels much more iconic. The way they did it, I think Owl City did some music for it as well, but it played through the whole movie a lot better. And I just really can't praise this movie enough. I absolutely adore it.
I'm right there with you on I can't praise this movie enough. I just watched it recently. I introduced it to my son, my oldest son, and he was just so intrigued by it. He was wanting to learn more about it, and I had to explain which video games were actual video games and then which ones were created for the movie. And it was just so it put to nostalgia. You probably played more video games than I did, but I had the old. My parents had an old Atari. They had actually had the Intellivision and the ColecoVision. So I was playing some of those things. And then I never had a Nintendo, but I had a Sega. And so Sonic was big for me when I saw him in there. And then I love the reference to Mario because, well, I didn't have a Nintendo. I know people who did, so I got to play that. And Mario's like the most iconic. And I was just like, they obviously weren't able to get the rights, so it's like, oh, we'll reference him, but not put him actually put him in.
Well, the fact that they had they had Bowser in there, and they had like they had the mushroom and the coin boxes, so they kind of reference him being, and they referenced him being late. The whole thing of just there were so many games in here, but in some ways it didn't matter if you didn't necessarily know them because it wasn't, but it just meant that extra level of it's a bit like one of those things of you didn't need it to be that walking zombie doesn't you don't need to know who he is,
right?
But knowing what game he came from, and having the shooting games in the arcade, I knew what that character was from, and Zangief and all the rest of it, it adds to it. But what else did you love about what about the movie?
I love, this is my favorite movie of the Disney revival era. Keep your Frozens. This is the best. I just loved Alan Tudyk. I love Alan Tudyk. I loved him as K2SO in Rogue One, and I loved him as King Candy here. Says I will watch almost anything with Alan Tudyk in it because he is so good. And
I need to watch that. The Resident Alien, is it? He's on. That's a series that just started. I haven't got around to watching it yet, but he is great.
Yeah, he seems to be in like every Disney movie since like Tangled, I think, and he's become what to Disney what John Ratzenberger is to Pixar in
Yeah.
recent years, and I love his characters in almost all of them, Frozen 2 notwithstanding, because he just plays some random people. It's like we got to get him in, but. So yeah, I loved him. I love the video games, whether you knew the games or not. There's a lot of nostalgia to growing up in there, and like you said, because we watch Ralph Breaks the Internet, and it's the difference between classic and antiquated. As
Yeah.
this ages, Wreck-It Ralph is going to be viewed as classic, while Ralph Breaks the Internet is going to be viewed as antiquated.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I also loved it. Like, it did seem like like both Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope were not your typical Disney characters.
No.
They didn't act like your normal, Vanellope. She's, this way she talks, the speeches, the fact that they're playing off it. That was a whole different side. Considering she is technically a Disney princess, and we obviously see that in the later movie, she doesn't play up on that. And they don't play up on that aspect too much. She's just a smart aleck kid who. And I think, Sarah Silverman I wasn't really too aware of her, but I thought she just captured this character just perfectly. And even just Wreck-It Ralph, it just works so well. And him being, the baddie, and he doesn't want to be the baddie. And, he's not bad. He's not evil. He's not, he's very simple. And he just wants, and it was just, I just really enjoy that whole aspect to it.
He's a bad guy, and that's good or something.
Yeah. And it was the kind of thing of, it made a lot of sense of what he was doing. I like little aspects to it and stuff. But for me, and like you say, it's I would much rather watch this than Frozen or Tangled or anything like that. But it doesn't have that same weight behind it because you go to the theme parks. There's very little Wreck-It Ralph there. It didn't connect in the same way. But for me personally, I think it definitely connected well with me. Why they haven't changed the racing car things area into Sugar Rush, I don't know, because that would have been a fantastic thing to have done. But yeah, I really just love this movie, and it's hard to say because it's just like like if I was trying to think of things I didn't like about it, it's I really struggle to think of like what's one thing you don't like about it.
The only thing I could say I don't like about it is at the end when they reveal that Vanellope was the main character of the game, and it's like, and she's Princess Vanellope, and I'm like, oh, that's Disney having to force that in. She could have been the main character without having to be a princess. It's a small nitpick, but that's the most I can come up with. And also,
I was going to say they at least acknowledge the fact that she doesn't like that.
Yeah,
and she instantly goes, nah, not for me.
Yeah,
and instantly kind of throws it to the side, which I thought was but it's so bright. Sugar Plus Land is so it is sugary sweet, and it makes it pop off the screen so much more. How the Bug Land where they go to like the Call of Duty alien thing, it looks so futuristic. It looks so different than and then this having them when they're in the Fix It Junior game, and it's all jumping around like an 8-bit, and I just love that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because when we last time we were in Walt Disney World, we had included in like the UK pass that we had access to Disney Quest. Right. And we'd been there I've been there so many times, never been in there. It was a pouring down rain. I was like, let's go into Disney Quest and just have a look around there. It's pouring rain, we can't do anything. It's included in the fee. They're going to be knocking it down soon, so let's go have a and they had like stacks and stacks of the Fix It Feel It Junior games all set up in the arcade in a big Wreck-It Ralph. And you're sitting there going, oh, this whole area is just like, it made so much sense, but it's completely lost in here.
Yeah,
it's arcades are just something that are just falling away because your mobile phone is more powerful than most of the arcade machines. And trying to you go in there now and it's just full of gimmicky games, but for us growing up, it was where you played the biggest and baddest video games was in the arcade, and you would pay £1 to go. And you used to pay a lot and it was just fantastic like that. But yeah, Wreck-It Ralph, cannot praise it enough. This is one of those things where I would give it a 5 out of 5 because there is nothing in this movie I can fault at all. I absolutely love it.
its animation is so good that you think it's Pixar. That's it. I mean, I really thought it was Pixar until I actually saw it the first time, and I was like, "Oh, this is a Disney Walt Disney Animation Studios." But yeah, I mean, I would give this a 5 out of 5 as well.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, but let us know in the comments below what you think of Wreck-It Ralph. Love to hear your thoughts. Remember as well, Patreon and YouTube channel members get early access to these episodes as a perk of being a member. They also get to contribute to the weekly Q&As and also help support the channel from as little as $2 a month, which really makes a massive difference in supporting us all. And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching. See you guys soon. Laters.
Later.